And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Tuesday, March 19th. I am Josh Engleman, and I'm here to break down just a 5-game NBA slate. No cut games, nothing like that. We just have 5 on the docket, 2 at 7, 1 at 7:30, an 8, and a 9. We're also brought to you by Sleeper. You can see the banner at the top of the screen. Shout out to Sleeper. We'll talk about them in a bit. But first, guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. What's good, folks? Hope you guys had a good night. It was uneventful for me on the DFS streets, thanks to the lovely Detroit Pistons. Man, I really liked my exposures before the Pistons went to hell. I think I would have had a much better night if I didn't have to dumpster dive for all their garbage. But alas, here we are. Betting side went great. Hope you're following me on Pickit, Pikkit. By me, Josh Engleman. Shouldn't be that difficult, but another positive day in the sports betting streets. Oh, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Whew. So what's up? What's going on? Make sure you're hitting that like button. I'm running my Sims right now, so I'm going to filibuster a little bit until I can get that up and ready to go. But it should be some fun. Probably would help me out if I actually uploaded the right stuff. How was everybody's night? Robert, nice. 14th in the $4. That'll work. That's a decent return. Glad you were able to get something out of Keegan Murray. Ended up having a decent enough night. So I want to talk about something. And I know what everybody's going to say. It's going to be fun for me. So, who here saw the Anthony Edwards play last night? Show of hands in chat. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Did you see the Anthony Edwards play last night? I'll wait. All right. That's a lot of people. We're getting the hands in. Jake DeWitt. That's exactly where I'm going with this. I'm not going to say that it wasn't awesome or sick to watch. That ain't a dunk. That ain't a dunk. We need to stop calling things that aren't dunks, dunks. I don't like it. I don't like it. Not a dunk. Awesome, though. Awesome to see. Gnarly. Any word you want to use to describe it. I'm probably cool with that word. The only word that we can't use to describe it is dunk, because that's just not a dunk. He absolutely did erase John Collins. That is no disagreement there. It was brutal. Brutal. He just smushed him, man. There was nothing else. They had no shot. It's like the most ridiculous layup ever. But yeah, we can't call that a dunk. That makes real dunks. And boy, oh boy, is this an interesting discussion. You got to get to the rim. You just do. Doesn't make it any less sick to see people throw it through the rim like that. These guys are getting so much above the rim that it becomes a little bit easier to do that. However, I just can't call that a dunk. That's just not what it is. A feat of athleticism that I didn't expect to see, without question. But it ain't a dunk. It just isn't. It just isn't. All right, I got to run a script quickly. And then we're ready to go, at least on my end. Script is done. Perfect. So that should be my lineups. I didn't see Jalen Johnson's, unless this what we're talking about, like not last night. Yeah, when I saw the underdog update as well and clicked on it, and I was just like, "Oh, yikes!" Because that was an assault on the rim and all of that area in general. How much? Yeah. Oh my god. I just don't get to Amin Thompson. Which is kind of wild to me, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. All right, I'm gonna save what I have in right now. Actually, I'm gonna make a couple bumps here. Now I'll save what I have in. We're gonna go ahead and switch on over to a blank screen because obviously that makes sense. Why wouldn't we just put up a blank screen? But no, we'll get the Sims. This was my Sims results. So what I'm gonna do right now is simulate lineups using the stochastic projection. Oh, perfect. So that's running in the background. Yeah, NBA God, that's a good comp. Dwight Howard in the dunk contest, the layup contest. Wemby is. We need to pray to whoever we believe in, whoever you are, whatever you believe in. Pray that Victor Wembanyama stays healthy for a couple years because he is going to be insane. What is he 2 years from now after understanding what the NBA is? Ooh. Ooh. It is going to be lethal. Lethal, lethal, lethal. All right. I want to refresh my tables. By the way, today is gross. I want to be very clear here. There's not the things that we like today are not fun. I feel like that's not refreshing itself. Yeah, I'm going to rerun everything here. I feel like there's an artifact of my projections in there somewhere. So let's refresh that. And I think we can get this one started. I want to test one thing on my end first. If I can close this one workbook, that will help me out a lot. And I can. Great. Nope. No, I can't. Lesson learned. It all changed once I hit the enter button. Not even hang or grab. The rim was not a necessity. All he did was throw the ball through the hole. I can't call that a dunk. That's not the right name for it. Awesome. We can call it awesome, and I'm very much in agreement. But I can't call it a dunk. Anyway, let's get into this. The Charlotte Hornets. Guys, hit that like button. Charlotte Hornets are 13.5-point dogs in Orlando. Okay, Ryan, we're gonna ruminate on that one before we start on Charlotte. It meets the definition of a dunk. Does it? Does it? Kind of does. Kind of does. I don't like it. Definition's wrong. Definition's wrong. Yeah. Look, when they came up with that, I get where they were going. They didn't anticipate people doing the things that they do now. So, fine. I will agree that it meets the definition of a dunk. I think we should all agree that it is not a dunk. That's where I stand. Charlotte Hornets, 2 touchdown dogs in Orlando. Same guys normally out for Charlotte. This is not a great spot for the Hornets. Number 4 defense for the Magic. Number 25 in pace. It's just kind of gross here. 10% ownership coming into Misic. No one else is above that number. Everybody else is in single digits. It's single digits across the board on FanDuel. We have no one in double digits of optimal rate, even on a 5-game slate. I'm guessing Charlotte's the least owned team. I would be correct. No one is owned less than Charlotte. I actually got to 10% of Grant Williams. Grant Williams is center only now for reasons I don't totally understand. Showing up in a little bit of my run to start the day. I don't have anything to add. Like, I don't think he looks good. The spot stinks, but it's just a value option to start the day. John, it's not that I think that he has to hold the rim, but he kind of has to get to the rim. Like, I don't think the Blake one is a dunk. I don't think the Dwight Howard one is a dunk. I'm fine with calling it a throwdown. We can call it a throwdown. That's fine. Again, don't get me lost on this. It's sick, man. He brought the hammer down onto John Collins. Like, it was John Collins, right? Why is my brain leaking? It doesn't matter. Whoever he dunked on. Was it John Collins? My mind is dumb. I can't remember anything. What about a hee-haw? I'd be fine with a hee-haw. Any good name. Well, that's what we're missing here. I don't want to play anything really from Charlotte. It doesn't look good. And we shouldn't want to play anything from Charlotte because they're in the worst spot on the day. Now, if we hop over to the Sims from Stochastic, it's sort of what the ownership looks like. A little bit of Bertans, a little bit of Misic, a little bit of Poku. So we're going here for value more than anything else. A share of Grant Williams, a share of Trey Mann. Like, none of this looks good. They all have pretty sizable negative player ROIs. It's of all the things we can talk about today, Charlotte is the least interesting of that entire range. Now for Orlando, we have 16% ownership to Cole Anthony and 10 to Wendell Carter Jr. We could say 10 to Franz as well. Similar ownership on the FanDuel side. The most anybody's really getting to is around 10%. We have Cole Anthony at 18% optimal to start the day. Everybody else is single digits. It's a decent spot against Charlotte. The Hornets play slow, but at the same time, they also have a very bad defense. I kind of like Orlando a little bit more here than the public does. I'm way over on Cole Anthony, but fine by me. I mean, we have him 18% optimal. I'm happy to get to more. Minutes are a yo-yo, but he should have no problem with the Hornets' second unit. He won't have much issue with the Hornets' first unit either. But I'm also at 14% of Mo Wagner, 14% of Gary Harris, 14% of Franz Wagner. I have Wendell Carter Jr., Paolo Banchero, Fultz, Isaac. Like, everybody kind of shows up for Orlando. I do think Cole Anthony is the best option you can get to for right now. But I'd really be okay with most of these pieces. Franz is likely my preferred option. The fact that he's small forward really makes a huge difference. He's going to play around 32 minutes. Hasn't been great lately. 0.96 fantasy points per minute over the past 30 days. But I think that he should project a little bit better than that in this spot. But I'm kind of happy to have a little bit of anything. Mo Wagner for 3,700, having that power forward eligibility. Got to remember, it's a 5-game slate. We just don't have value growing on trees. What do we see for Orlando? 36% exposure. Cole Anthony. Looks like I'm in agreement there. So both myself and the Stochastic projections and Sims are very much in alignment on Cole Anthony. And then it falls off a cliff. 5% to Mo Wagner. Less than 3% to everybody else. So I'm a little bit more of a believer in Orlando than the Stochastic site is right now. But that's just a line. Like, that's not anything that I would be going crazy over. To me, I think Orlando with the ability, like the fact that they're at home, their implied total is solid. Charlotte's implied total, by the way, is 95. Probably the lowest on the season that I can remember. I just want to get to some of Orlando. I don't think this spot looks as bad as it does on paper. Houston. This is where we start to get into it. We've got a 9-point line. Oh, I don't even want to talk about this game. Rockets are 9-point favorites in Washington, 228 total. So for the Rockets, it's the same thing we've had. No Şengün, no Cam Whitmore. The Wizards, on the other hand, who, let's not forget, are already shitty and have had great injury luck this year. Most of their guys have been in. They played big minutes with their rotation. No Denny Avdia, no Marvin Bagley, no Bilal Coulibaly, no Tyus Jones, no Eugene Omoyuri, no Landry Shamet, no Isaiah Livers. Q tag on Kyle Kuzma. So the Houston side looks amazing. Now I'm getting to it in very different ways. Let's start with the chalk. Amin Thompson is point guard, small forward eligible. He's 63% owned at 5,900. Now I got to 20, but I basically had 0. 1.15 fantasy points per minute over the last 30 days. I got him at 1.1. We went 28 minutes and 36 fantasy points, making Amin Thompson 51% optimal. Now, I think that rate is a bit too high. I understand the matchup is fantastic. I have a hard time projecting Amin Thompson in this spot for 1.25. I might be a little light. I think we're a little heavy. He does look like a good point per dollar play. He does have a fantastic position and matchup. I'm not surprised that he's getting a lot of ownership. He will once again be the guy that I'm going to be underweight on. That is my expectation. I've dug through the rates. I don't see much that I would want to change. He does look really good. We got to remember he's a rookie with no offensive ability. If he's not getting to the rim, and he should get to the rim in this spot, he doesn't really have anything else. He's certainly not knocking down jumpers. That is not an Amin Thompson character trait. The other guys on the starting lineup, Dillon Brooks, Jabari Smith, Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green. They're all 20% owned. They're all around 15% optimal. I say not so fast. I've been talking about this one since Şengün went down. I'm going to talk about it again here. 8,100 for Jalen Green, point guard, shooting guard eligible. He's in 68% of my lineups. He's what I think Amin Thompson is. I'm crushing Jalen Green. The usage rate is massive without Şengün around. 32% usage, 20% assist rate, 10% rebounding rate. He is going to take all the shots in the world, and he is going to meet zero resistance while he does it against this Washington team. I want as much Jalen Green as I can get to. One of my favorite plays. I already bet him. I already took him in prize picks. It's all coming up Jalen Green to me. It's coming up Dillon Brooks again. It's insane to me that he's power forward only. He's 4,700. He's been absolutely terrible lately. 0.58 fantasy points per minute. I have him nowhere near that number. Where do we have him actually? 23.1, 29.9. We have him around 0.77. I'm a little bit higher here. And we'll dial that one in as the day goes on. But I still want to get to Dillon Brooks, no matter how bad he's been, because there's just opportunity here. I'm neutral on Fred VanVleet. He's 8,600, but he's close to a 1.25 fantasy point per minute guy in this spot. The one guy I'm not really getting to is $6,900 Jabari Smith, right around a fantasy point per minute, playing around 33 minutes. He looks good, not great, but he's the guy that I'm least likely to get to out of these 5 guys. But if I'm ranking them in terms of my priorities, it's Jalen Green 1. It's probably Amin Thompson 2, Dillon Brooks 3, Fred VanVleet 4, Jabari Smith 5. But for me, it is very, 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 very much Jalen Green. All things Jalen Green. I'm really curious to see. Now, I know we're going to have like 90% of Amin Thompson in the stochastic sims. I don't really disagree with it. Okay, we're way different here. 91% exposure to Amin Thompson. It's a big number. It's a very big number. I'm not surprised just because of price, position, matchup, slate size, all of it. I get it. If you're in for Amin Thompson, I'm not talking you out of it. There's massive upside in this spot against Washington. But then it's 13% to Jalen Green, 11 to Van Vliet, 10 to Jabari, 6 to Dylan Brooks. This is an incredible matchup on paper today. And you're getting a Washington team that is barely playing real dudes, and you're about to see that in a second. I want this starting lineup. I think we were going to get 2 or 3 dudes from Houston that really hang a number. And if that's the case, I need to be consolidated here. But I expect to be light on Amin Thompson. Okay. Now we go to Washington. A reminder, I just told you guys how many people are out. We have 72% ownership coming into Justin Champagnie. Interesting that both Champagnies played today. 72% exposure to Justin Champagnie. Sorry, ownership. I have 92%. I don't know how you get, assuming this guy starts again, I don't know how you get away from him as a $4,200 small forward. You need him to score his projection. I have his target score at 28. That's what I also have his projection at. To me, he's the easiest guy to get to on this entire slate. Jordan Poole is pulling 48% ownership. Jared Butler, Corey Kispert, and Kuzma are all around 20. Now we have, oh my gosh, 43% optimal to Champagnie, 35 to Poole. Just shy of 20 on Kuzma and Kispert, around 13 for Butler. So I'm neutral on Kispert. Going to be around a 0.9 fantasy point per minute dude in this spot. I'm a little lighter on Jared Butler. And I do have him projected, I'd like to think pretty well. But a little bit of negative leverage there. I'm well under on Poole, but I have him at 1.2 fantasy points per minute. I gave him 31 minutes. He looks good. I just don't know if I can get to 48% good. But I'm happy with 24%. He's certainly going to get his shots up. And then I'm getting a ton of Kyle Kuzma. I don't mind that at all. 18% optimal, 17% owned. I have him projected for 44 fantasy points in 34 minutes. He'll see some time at center. I want a lot of Kyle Kuzma. This doesn't change. I usually want a lot of Kyle Kuzma. So he's in 44% of my lineups, only 17% owned. Got to get to a bunch of this game. This is clearly the most popular game on today's slate. There's no real way around it. 187% ownership to Washington, 155 to Houston. That means there's 342% ownership coming into this game. 43% of all ownership is in Houston and Washington. And I don't really know how you get away from it. I got a little bit of Holmes. We got to see the Kuzma news. This could look even crazier by the time we get to it, but it's Justin Champagnie, cash lock, if he's starting, overwhelming priority. Kispert, Butler, Poole, and Kuzma are the guys you want to have your eye on. Now, stochastic sims. 85% exposure to Champagnie. Same exact page. 67% to Poole. So while I came in a little light, stochastic sims say, not so fast, my friends. We're going to go up and over. We're going to dunk on that number. 35% to Corey Kispert. So I was neutral. We're taking a stand in 2Xing Kispert. And then another 17 for Jared Butler, another 15 for Kyle Kuzma. It's the same 5 guys that I have in double digits that we have in double digits. However, a little bit different in the proportions. So for me, personally, I want to get to a lot of this game. Like I mentioned, there's 342% ownership to Washington and Houston At this moment, I have 382. So I have an extra 40%. Close to half of my ownership is coming into Washington and Houston. All right. That all looks good to me so far. What we want to talk about here is the schedule for the rest of today. Very easy. NHL strategy show at 2:30 p.m. I'm back at 5 for the deeper dive with DK. You get NBA live before lock at 6. And then you get playback live at 7 p.m. up until 8 o'clock. Now, do I have anything else we want to touch on? Use the avatar. That's another big one. Stokastic.com/avatar. Link in the description of this video. Sign up for our app. Well, you don't even have to sign up. Use our avatar. You don't have to sign up for anything. Save our logo. Use it on DraftKings, FanDuel, Owner's Box, Yahoo. Finish in the top 3 of a contest with 5,000 or more entries. God, I can't talk today. Use our avatar. Finish top 3, 5,000 or more. 1 month of whatever you're looking for at Stokastic. Get the NBA Sims tool, projections, ownership, Sims, lineup generator, contest generator, premium Discord, and more. Very easy. Costs you nothing. Only thing you have to do, tweet your result at Stokastic HOF. Show us the lineup. Show us your contest. We want to promote it to the world. We want to give you a little something for it. All righty. Let's go to New Orleans. Pelicans, 7.5-point favorites in Brooklyn. 216 total. 13% ownership to Zion, around 10 for BI and CJ. Pretty similar on the FanDuel side. All those guys are in and around 10% owned and 10% optimal. Zion a little bit more optimal. I don't have much here. Scattered amounts of CJ, Herb, Joval, who barely plays, Alvarado, and Zion. I'm just light. Brooklyn's okay defensively. They're okay in pace. It's just kind of a meh matchup. I assume one of these guys has a big game. I have a hard time deciding which one it is, and that's making me be a little bit lighter on the Pels. Now, Stokastic Sims want to get to Zion. 24% exposure. I don't hate that at all. I would happily get to him. I think I have some other plays that the Sims aren't going to be on. 11% exposure. I don't know why I'm so itchy. I think it's because it's cold today. It was like 35 degrees. So I'm warm in my office, but like cold as well. 11% exposure to Alvarado. And then it's single digits to Joval, Ingram, CJ, and Nance. So I agree that Zion is the clear standout option for the Pels. I'm not as big of a believer in him. And I might add, I already took his under on Prize Picks, and the line moved. I got it. Whatever I got it at, it's one less than that now. So I was at least in the right direction right out of the gate. But there's not much to talk about for the Pelicans side. And then you go to Brooklyn, and it's just ugly, but a little bit interesting because of the slate size. Only guy that got to double-digit ownership is Nick Claxton. That's FanDuel or DraftKings. But we did get Cam Thomas, Mikal Bridges, and Schroeder to 10% optimal. Claxton got there too. Positive leverage in this matchup for sure. Some for Cam Johnson. So I got to 14% Cam Johnson at 4% ownership. I got to 16% Dennis Schroeder at 7% ownership. I did get to 16% of Claxton. I have some Mikal Bridges. I have some Cam Thomas. I think that Brooklyn looks a little bit better than what their ownership shows. I think the boom bust tool is showing it perfectly. Enough positive leverage for a 5-game slate that I think they're the sneakier pieces to get to today. Not as giant stands, but as easy guys to like 2x Schroeder, 3x Cam Johnson at 4% ownership. Decisions that don't have to impact everything you do, but still look pretty good. So for Brooklyn, we have 13% exposure in the Stokastic Sim tool to Claxton. And then it's single digits to everybody. but 7% Cam Johnson, 6% Day'Ron Sharp, 6% Schroeder, 5% Bridges. These pieces work. It's just that none of them look overwhelmingly awesome. And we have a lot of things on this slate that do look overwhelmingly awesome. We just got Trey Mann listed as questionable. So that's interesting. Let's keep it moving. Let's go to Dallas. We're going to move through this one pretty quickly. Mavs are 8.5-point favorites in San Antonio. 231 total. Biggest total on the slate. Obviously, this is the number 2 team in pace in San Antonio. Number 3 team in pace in Dallas. They're 22nd and 23rd in defensive rating. We have 33% ownership coming into Luka. I got to 4. We have 28% ownership coming into Gafford. I got 20. We've got 20 coming into PJ Washington. I'm there, but I'm light on Lively and I'm light on Kyrie. Similar ownership coming in on FanDuel to Doncic and to PJ Washington. Now, I like this spot for sure. But 12.5 is difficult to get to for Luka, given what this slate looks like. Now, we have him 32% optimal, 32% owned. Looks fantastic. We also have him at 68.5 fantasy points. That's 3 more than me. Might be something I have to dig into. But I went 1.77 fantasy points per minute in this matchup. 35% usage and a 49% assist rate. I don't think I'm missing anything here for Luka. I'm having trouble paying all the way to 12.5. You'll see why in a second. So I'm finding Luka difficult to get to as my primary payoff option. I'm having no trouble getting to Gafford or PJ Washington. You see Washington is 20% optimal. Gafford is 25% optimal. Getting a little bit of love to Derek Jones as a leverage play. I didn't get it, but at 3,800, I don't think it's crazy. But I'm looking more at the secondary pieces from Dallas than Luka Doncic. The sim tool is at 60% Gafford, 47% Doncic, 43% Washington, and then minimal amounts to everybody else. But Jam City stochastic sims, it's Jam City, 62, 47, 43, Gafford, Doncic, Washington. I don't disagree with any of it, and I do think that Luka looks incredible. But there might just be some other people we can pay up for today. Perhaps someone like the 8% owned Victor Wembanyama, $10,600. I got him in 30% of my lineups. I'm 3xing Wemby. The idea of getting to the same per minute, dude, 1.82 fantasy points per minute for Wemby. Incredible rates, 33% usage, 24% assist rate, 19% rebounding rate. I have him projected for 5.5 stocks. What more do we want here? This is the perfect GPP option. Perfect GPP option. And don't forget, we still haven't talked about Nikola Jokic yet, who's coming up in the next game. And he might get to see this Minnesota team without Rudy Gobert. So keep an eye on that. But I want to get to Wemby. I don't mind getting to Trey Jones at 5,600. 15% owned, 18% optimal. Sorry, 18% for me. He's 10% optimal. But how about let's get some Devin Vassell in our lives? 18% ownership to Vassell. He's 7,300. He's point guard, shooting guard eligible. Just for a second, take a look at Devin Vassell's minutes as of late. Now, this was OT 39, 39, 36, 36, 39, 39 and a half, 37, 38, 39. This dude's playing massive minutes. I have 46% of Devin Vassell. You know he's going to be out there for the full freight. If any bit of this game is competitive, you know he's getting every one of those minutes and potentially more. 18% ownership for him with an MPE? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I'm in. So I want to get to a whole bunch of Wemby, a whole bunch of Vassell, some Trey Jones. The one guy I'm not getting to is Jeremy Sohan, 5,800, small forward, power forward eligible, 23% owned. I only got to 4. Guess I accidentally pressed the button to turn my light off. Scared the hell out of me. I thought all my power was about to go out, but I still heard everything. That freaked me out, guys. Now we have Sohan, 15% optimal, 23% owned, -8 leverage. I tend to agree. So I'm way light on Sohan. S&P, I don't disagree with what you're saying here. I do think today could be unique because of Luka and Jokic. I think the relationship of ownership for those three guys is going to be very interesting to see. Stochastic Sims got to 16% Vassell. Not as big of a believer as I am. I can handle that. Just listen to me in this one. 11 to Sohan, 10 to Keldon, just 6 to Victor Wembanyama coming out of the Stochastic Sims today. So I'm flip-flopping these guys. I want a lot more Vassell, and I want a lot more Wemby. And I'm okay with that. I'd like to get a little bit more Luka and try to find a little homeostasis for myself. But as I see it, I want to get to this game. I have 150% ownership in this game. The game itself has 180. This is the second most owned game, and I think it should be. You know what else I think you guys should be doing? Signing up for Odds Shopper, because we've got a March Madness promo going on. Now, this one will end at noon on Thursday. You can get Odds Shopper for a single solitary dollar right now using the promo code MADNESS. Link in the description. This is the easiest thing you'll do because there's no real cost associated with you. It's $1. Worst case scenario, you cancel, you're out $1. The value you get out of Odds Shopper is massive. I've been using it constantly since I went live in North Carolina. Right now, if you just hop to Odds Shopper, you can get Xavier tonight under 154.5, -105 at FanDuel. Immediately, there's a play for you that you can get a bet down on. And that's what Odds Shopper is going to be here for. You take a market-based approach to beating the books. We give you expected value, expected win rates. You can immediately just hop over to the parlay builder. Let's say that I want to build a parlay at DraftKings. Are there enough plays out there right now? There are. Let's take this Chris Conway play, and then let's take this Noah Friedel play, and then we could take this Cornell first half play. I just built a parlay. Lets me know immediately. Parlay odds are +700. I've got an 8% expected value and a 13% win rate. I should go bet that. That's solid. I like it. So quick. All I got to do is click a couple buttons. You can do the exact same thing for the pick'em sites. Let's pull up Sleeper. I don't know how much value is out there for Sleeper right now. Doesn't appear that it's coming up the way that I would like it to just yet. That's okay. We can handle that. Do we have anything for the NBA? If I start adding a couple lines of these plays on Sleeper, we start building out a Sleeper entry. Now, this one only has a 3.x payout, but -21 XV. I don't want this. This expected value is -21. Even though these plays are expected to win 60% of the time, you don't get the value while you build it. We keep all of the data in front of you. And again, you can sign up for Odds Shopper for $1. Take advantage. If you haven't tried it out, whether you're playing Pick'em or at sportsbooks, either one of them, Odds Shopper is what you want. Pierre, both, there we go. Yeah. Either side of it, Pick'em slides or sportsbooks. Whatever you're looking for, it's here for you guys. All right, let's close out this slate. Denver Nuggets. 18% ownership coming into Aaron Gordon. Around 10 for Jamal Murray. Very similar on the FanDuel side. 5% ownership to a $12,100 Nikola Jokic, who just might see Luka Garza? Maybe Rudy Gobert? Maybe Naz Reid? This might be a fantastic matchup for Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets today. We have no idea who's playing for Minnesota yet. They're on a back-to-back. Reid left the game. Gobert's only played 1 out of the last 4. I'm getting to Murray and Gordon. But boy, oh boy, does Nikola Jokic look like an ownership pivot for tonight's slate. 11% optimal, 5% owned, positive leverage. The relationship between Jokic, Wemby, and Luka is going to dictate who wins today's slate. You want to be on the right side of it. On the stochastic sims for Denver, because Denver's at full strength. We got to 12% of Aaron Gordon, 8% of Jokic, 4% of Murray. So no major stands. But this game could go from for Denver to really, really good. If Rudy Gobert does not play, Nikola Jokic is going to smash this Minnesota team. Because everything falls apart after that. Jokic is going to pick these dudes apart. But we need the news. We need the news. There's no overwhelming priorities from Denver. But you start comparing that Nikola Jokic ownership to Luka Doncic ownership. Now, Luka unquestionably projects way better. And he projects better than Wemby, too, because Luka's going to play like 5 more minutes than Wemby. But boy, oh boy, do these guys have the same ceiling. There's an 80-point game in Nikola Jokic today. He only needs 62 for you to be happy. It's a big price tag at 12-1. I don't have much of him right now, but I'm very curious to see what it ends up looking like. By the way, final thing to touch on. I forgot to mention it earlier. We will mention it right now. Sleeper, everybody. Sleeper. They are the presenting sponsor of this show. You can get up to a $500 deposit match by clicking the link in the description to sign up. They'll match anything up to $500. You put in $237, they're going to match it with $237. You can get, there's free squares almost every day. There's free squares all week. I can't remember who today's free square is. I think it might be Jokic, actually. But either way, there's a free square out there for Sleeper. That'll help keep your costs down. You can just show up on OddsShopper, find additional Sleeper plays. They don't appear to be pulling in right now, but they exist, I promise. You can get them for every other site, too. Whether that's Better, Dabble, Jock Market, Prize Picks, Underdog, and Sleeper, as I mentioned. It's all right here for you in OddsShopper. Reminder, you can get OddsShopper for $1 and help you use Sleeper if you want to sign up. It's all a synergy. It all comes together. But I'm using this to beat Prize Picks. I'm using it to beat the sports books. That's what OddsShopper is going to be for. Use it to beat Sleeper as well, guys. The information is here, and you have no reason to not check it out. If you're in a legal pick'em state, you can get OddsShopper for $1 and unload on Sleeper for the next week. And give yourself a little test. Okay, so like I have Minnesota in with Gobert in and with the whole team in. It's not even really worth all that much of a conversation. Gobert looks okay. Edwards looks okay. Slow-mo looks okay. Gobert's 17% optimal if he plays. They're on a back-to-back. We don't have their injury report, and these guys are walking wounded. We're talking about a team that yesterday... where did I lose them? There we go. We had no Rudy Gobert for the past 2 games. Naz Reid left early. We might see a steady diet of Luka Garza today. It could be Naz Reid day. It could just be Rudy Gobert day. Kyle Anderson and Monty Morris were both questionable heading into yesterday. What does that look like on a back-to-back? We don't know. So as much as I want to dig into Minnesota, I don't really see it as worthwhile. Because what could we possibly say? We got 30% exposure in the sim tool to Gobert. So Rudy Gobert happens to be in. He does look like a good option. 13 points, 13 boards, something like that. But we need news. We need an injury report. We need to know the status of these guys. And who knows? Maybe we don't even know it all the way up until the deeper dive. But we'll talk about it on the deeper dive and live before lock. That's for sure. So now, let's take a look at the number one lineup. And all of the exposures. 90% to Amin Thompson. 85 to Champagnie. Jordan Poole and Daniel Gafford both in the 60s. Luka Doncic and PJ Washington both in the 40s. Cole Anthony, Corey Kispert, and Rudy Gobert in the 30s. Now, number one ROI lineup. Jordan Poole, Cole Anthony, Amin Thompson, PJ Washington, Rudy Gobert, Luka Doncic, Justin Champagnie, and Derek Jones Jr. Now, let's hop on over to FanDuel for the FanDuel peeps so they can get a little love too. Let's generate a player pool, run some sims. We'll find out what we like on the FanDuel side. Make sure you're hitting that like button too to the 430-something people that are in the door. Help me out, guys. All right. Pool generated. Contest simulating. We're stirring up the cauldron of data and dork. That would be really cool if that little graphic, that I like the stochastic graphic, it was just some nerd looking character just stirring up a big pot of numbers and percentage signs and stuff. I wish I had any artistic ability at all. I just don't have it in the arts. Can't draw or paint. I can't sing or do anything like that. It's always the things that I wish that I could do, but I can't. Meanwhile, I think everybody that probably has those skills are like, yo, I can't add. And it's like, all right, well, I guess we all have our things. But yeah, I've always wished that I could draw or paint. Oh, also, I didn't notice it until right now. Shout out Dick Togo in chat. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that 99% of the chat has no idea who Dick Togo is. Yeah, see, I'm the same way. See, I can barely make stick figures. Same situation for me. All right. Number one lineup on FanDuel to start the day. Luka Doncic, Mike Conley. Jordan Poole, Jared Butler. Justin Champagnie, Derek Jones. Kyle Kuzma, PJ Washington. Rudy Gobert. And if we quick favorite the top 150 and check out exposures, Corey Kispert, number one. Jared Butler and Jordan Poole, both in the 60s. Jordan Poole and PJ Washington and Justin Champagnie, both in the 50s. Jabari Smith and Luka Doncic in the 40s. And then Kuzma, Jalen Green, Gobert, Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, all in the 30s. We done it again, folks. Another strategy show in the books. Only a 5-gamer, very easy. Like I said, I'll be back for the deeper dive later tonight with DK. Prize Picks video is already out. Contenders video about to come out. I drop my bets in our NBA betting channel on Discord. If you're looking for those, you can go find them very easily. But at this point, guys, I am out of here. This has been a fantastic show, as it always is. Hump day tomorrow should be great. If you haven't hit the like button, do so. Sign up for OddsShopper using the link in the description. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I'm going to go get a haircut.